Hello, here's our extra video for the web programming interface because I know maybe you're busy on your project. So I am trying to introduce one more things like for the unit test for testing, but you don't have any assignment or labs to do this. And as a bonus or extra, if you want to add it to your project, you're welcome to do that. But if too much, you have no pressure to edit. Okay, just letting you um one things that related to the Happy.js. Like we have some refer to the official documentation. So that you can go to the Happy.js. Like they always give you some tutorial and example. So always refer to it. Because they have some update on the firmware even in this moment. Maybe I give you, okay, maybe the version look like this. Maybe later, a month later, a week later, they change it. Okay. So always I encourage you to look at their official document and see, okay, what kind of change or some new functions maybe have like helpful to you. Okay. And then for the rest, I also have some document related to how to like doing filtering and then validation error handling. Okay, so you can look at it. And just like always important is like best practice, like look at it and then to leverage the firmware features. So it's really helpful for the documentation. And then part is they relate to the testing to the Happy.js that route, or we can test the MongoDB. Okay, to test it. The benefits they instead of like sending the post per using Postman, the test it actually we can execute it. Okay, so passing the value and then match with the expected return, then we know, okay, so your syntax, this function is working. So there's a two ones called Jest, and there was a Mocha and Chart. And actually for the firmware change, like before, you are better to use the Happy.js, one of the library, but I will tell you later. Okay. You can use it, so Jest or Mocha to test it. So for Jest is the really popular testing firmware built-in for the assertion library. So it can support like mock function and easy to configure. The Mocha and Chart actually we use a lot for the Node.js, like it's a flexible testing firmware, and also for Chart is the assertion library. But for the Node.js new version, sometimes it's not work really well. So I recommend the one using the Node.js one. So I will show you like later. If you want to set up and install it, like once you start the project, if you remember like using the npm init and create the project, so you can npm install. So this one before for the Jest, okay, maybe the Mocha we are using for testing for development. So this one usually we save as a safe dev. Okay, so this one is like for the dependence for development, but not for the production. Okay, just here's the difference right here. After we create the project, you need to go to package.json to alter it. So for the testing script, so you will like change the test to Jest. Okay, or I already upload some source code, so other sources you can like download it and open it, try to run all this and try to configure it and make it works. Okay, and you can like running, let's say if you create the server.test.js file and you just need to run the npm test. So here's like we refer to the write the script using test. So we're using the Jest to test it. And if you open the test file, then you can see, okay, how we're going to test it. And the next one is if we want to test it using Mocha chart, so you can like install Mocha chart and Mongoose. So Mongoose, the one like connect to our MongoDB database, right? And you can change the test script to Mocha. Okay, so you can change it instead of Jest, then you can use Mocha. And here's the giving an example, like if we want to test the database, okay, our MongoDB query, so we connect to it, and then we have the user schema. So if you remember the NoSQL structure, so we have a name and age. So when we will export it, we need to change the modules like to export it to the user and then use user schema. The reason why we need to export this schema because we will use it for testing. So testing you will see a lot in our syntax. We try to export the functions. Okay, sometimes we export certain value. Okay, the reason because we need to use it or import it. Okay, so it's the reason you need to modify the source code a little bit. Okay, so after you export it, then you can use them for testing. And quickly, when we move on, so if you have something like related to the giving you the API documentation template. Okay, so if you need to create a template, then I give a structure. So let's say what's the authentication, or like giving a type, what's the method you're going to do, and then give me the example. And if you need to describe the endpoint, if you need to build the API server, right, the happy.js, so you need to give me like, okay, URL, so which method are you using? Get, post, put, delete. Okay, what's the path to this endpoint? Give me the short description. Okay, what's this endpoint doing? So let's say if you create a profile, user profile. So you say, okay, this one try to create the user profile. So you save all this data. Okay, so what kind of required parameters? Okay, are you passing through a query parameter? Then what's the parameter? Okay, what's the type? Okay, are they required or optional? Give me a short description. So let's say it's a username. Okay, it's required. So it's a string type. Okay, and then so it's saving the user created username. Okay, or you need to save the password. Okay, or it's a path parameters. Okay, then you will pass it, or it's a belong to the request body. So you can give a structure like which field was the value. So here's the example showing you, and then maybe you have some like response, right? So are you responding with like some unsuccessful code? Let's say 200. Okay, or like are you returning certain content? So we can put in like this. Okay. So as a good habit, like for debugging or like for working as a team, we always try to giving some response. Okay, maybe someday if you remember, we have got like code 500 internal error, and then you can give them like standard like 501, 502, or 503. Okay, and then give us or so you can return say there's a message. Okay, maybe the connection to the database is broken, or some that value data type error it doesn't match, or the field it doesn't exist like this. So you can give it. So when I look at this document, then I will see, okay, then if I'm a front-end developer and I look at your the API document, so know how can I use it? Okay, so it's really clear. Okay, and also like what's the error response 400 per request, and then you can give an error description like this. And here, especially like for the code 200 or so, is that okay? That means it's successful. Or 400 per request, so that means the request is invaded. 401, we say then let's say unauthorized, so authentication failed. 404 is showing like not found, so it's like not access. Or we have a 500 is the internal server error. But of those, of course, we can give some other numbers like for like 501, 502 like this for more details error. So like this. And also you can giving the rate limiting. Say let's say how many requests per hour, and then you can set this like the response header. You can, if you remember, we can add it to our happy.js. So what's the limit, maximum numbers requests allowed, the rate limit, or the remaining. So the request remaining in the current word the current windows. Also we can like reset. So what's the time when the wait limit like resets, we can like define all this value. And also, of course, like you can give some like, support email, like maybe who should you contact, or the document URL right here. So here will be the, so far will be the some like summarize for the testing and unit test. And I'd like to show you, and actually I give you also one extra bonus content. Okay, so I would like to tell you, so it's not include but as an extra information, if you want to know more, so I will tell you what's related to the HTML DOM or something like called browser DOM. So I will let you what's the JSX. So it's a JavaScript XML. So it's related to the syntax extension, and also it can allow the HTML like code like with the JavaScript. So when you like implement like const element, so we have a tag, right? So it's the h1 hello world. So we can like transpile to React create element like this. Okay, h1 now hello world. Okay, it's a content. And Also, we have the stage and points, if you remember. So it's the points is the immutable data passed from parent to child, if you know. Also, of the state, so it's the immutable data within the component. So it's a recap if you remember. So we're doing this. So this one, the state, we're using state. Okay, count and set count. And how can we pass the content, or like how can we use the synthetic event system? So when you click it and then we pass the alert system, or we turn the buttons right here on click. So it's the like have a function, and then we turn the tag right here. And also we have the life cycle if we relate to the like related to the components demand, or like should component update or component will amount. So this one in given different life cycle when we load it. So also including, you see that we have some component extended. If you remember, we have an inheritance. Okay, so this one is like component demand. So we will when we loading the class, we will try to like automate it. Okay, and if you didn't especially you try to fetch the data, and then if you see why the even I tried to execute the function to fetch the data, but it didn't upload, then you need to add the life cycle, maybe like demand. Okay, so add this component demand or update like this. And also we have another, like we add hooks, if you remember this one. So the hooks will be including the use stage, use effect. So will be like this. So it helps us to manage the local stage, or use effect to like fetching data, given a timer. So it's pretty useful. Okay, and also related to the HTML DOM. So it's the programmable interface for web documents. It can represent the structure of the HTML document. So they are in a tree of objects. Okay, and but why we interact with the DOM a lot? Because it allows the JS to dynamically like interact with the web page, and also give a way to access and manipulate the element in HTML. Okay, so in the structure, so we're using like a text stuff for HTML body depth. If you remember, we have a chapter like cover about CSS, right? So sometimes we need to interact with those tag given ID, so you need to know. And when we're navigating the DOM tree, so we need to know all those like nodes, element nodes, including the what's the depth span. Okay, so maybe the text node it contains the text inside the HTML text, or what the attributes, including the ID class. So we can work with the CSS or the Java get the ID. Okay, so that's what we need to use. So here's I give you the long example, including the depth ID. And then visually you can see like HTML head, body, and then what's the depth, what's the ID. Okay, we have paragraph right here, and then what's the body content right here. And if we need to access to the element, so including like documents, they referring to the page right here, and then we can use the function get element by ID, so we can declare the ID, so we can get the value, or the query selector, so we can get the class. Okay, or if you want to change the content, so we can get the value by ID. So get it, so we can save a value, and we can modify the value using the inner HTML to modify the value. Okay, so you can change from hello row to new content like this. Or so this one is the element get elements by ID, so it will return the element with the specific ID. Okay, so you can use a lot. You will see this example, or sometimes if you want to get a class name, so we return a list of element of the specific class. So if they like list items, so we log all the items. And also we have the like the query selector, so we can return the first element, match it. So if you want to selecting the H1, so we're getting the first header. Okay, and also we have like getting all. So if you want to get all the paragraph, so you can state like by P. Okay, or if you want to change the content like inner, or if you want to change the style, so style dot background color, if you remember the CS. And also if you want to change the attributes. Okay, so we have the query data A and set the attribute. So you will change all the query, like this one, the first one, A to the with the link, wait, the reference link. Okay, and also if you want to create a new one, okay, you can like constant and then create a element. So under the new def, you can give a value. So you can under body append a child. So it's another function, we can use this to like adding a new element. So we can add this the new text over here. So you can create a using this like two statements, okay, to append the new element into the DOM. And of course, you can like if you want to insert it like before or after, then you can look at this syntax. So we try to create element by p, and then putting this element content as content. So you can use like getting the reference element. Okay, let's say get element by ID. I know where is it. So you can use the function insert before it. Okay, so what's the new element, and then pass the reference element. So we know, okay, insert before it. And also, of course, we can use the remove, get by ID, remove it, or remove the child node. So we will like get the ID, the parent one, and then we can get the child, and then the parent can remove the child by the return value of the get element by ID. So you can see, so we need to pass what's the child ID. Okay, so right here the element. And also we have the DOM events, including like click the button, like move it over, submit button, key down, all this. And if you remember, we do mention about this part too, like before they have a key up, down, and later just like only have a key, okay, have a bounce, okay, they will detect only like press down and up, okay. So all this we will implement event listener, okay. And believe that maybe you try to build a website, you will use it. And also we have the event bubbling, so it will try to propagate it from the target element from up to the root. Okay, that's the default behavior. Also we capturing the events, so all the events they propagate from the root down to the target element. So just be aware of this one, propagation of it. So it's like called bubbling and capturing. Okay, so including propagate, like is from the target up to the root, but for the capturing is from root to the top. Okay, so when we getting the element, okay, the parent ID, and then when we add the event listener cake, so this one will be when we try to log the parents def cake, so it's the capture phase right here. So just like be careful. So it's like from root down to the target element. And also, if you want to manipulate something like some style dynamically, so you can like get the heuristic like that, and then change the color to something as I blue color. So you can do it. So you can change it. And also you can like maybe have an input box selector. Okay, let the user to change color. Also, you can use this method to let the user change the color, your website color. Okay, and also we have the DOM like transversing. So including how can we like get the parent node, previous sibling or next sibling. So you can, let's say if you get the element by ID or current one, so you can check this current elements that was the parent node. So you will know, and then or like we want to know that what's the, when we select the query selector, so I want to know what's the first child, okay, of the element or last one. So also we can transversing from the node tree. This one is like giving you the interactive form. So if I have a form right here, input text, and then submit button, and then get the greeting, right? So I can get the form ID and add a listener. So once we press the button submit, first I just like using prevent default. So I'm not going to submit anything. And then I try to get the ID by the name, save it, and I will update the greeting in the HTML and say hello. So you see I will replace this one, PID greeting. So it's more like dynamic and reactive. Okay, thank you for it. And also we have some like called the browserable. Okay, so it's the called the browser of object model. Okay, so it gives us like an interaction with the browser. Okay, functionality including the Windows navigator, screen location history. So Windows that means the browser window, or navigator just provide information about the browser or the screen, or the information related to the screen or the location with the methods for the URL, and also the history. That means the navigation to the browser history. And for the window object, including with the width, in the height, or location with the current URL like this. So you can get with it. So we can use more like dynamic, if you remember, like for the CS, if you want to detect, okay, if you want to change the layout, maybe the inner width, like we want to know is the cell phone, it's a tablet, or is a window, or is the really large screen. So we can use this one window, or getting the current URL. So you can like perform certain action. If we use it as example, we're using the alert. Okay, so giving alert, and also we will have a prompt. If you know like is the pop-up, and then it asks you to get the input. So you may try to use it. And also the navigator object, so including what's the user agent, so you know what's the browser's user agent, return it as a string. Also the language, or what's the set of this browser, so you can use it to switching the language preferences, right? And also we have the screen object, so we can getting what the in pixel, what's the width and height. Also what's the available like width. Okay, we're excluding the taskbar, because it's really sometimes if we only getting the width, including like everything, but for this one, like we need to know like excluding the taskbar, how many pixels we can use for the screen, so we can use it. Also for some properties related to the location, so including the what's the full URL, what's the protocol are they using, the host name, so we can get all this information. It may be helpful sometimes, like if you only want to support HTTPS, then you can check the protocol. Okay, then you can redirect, and then you can ask the user, okay, and maybe you can have some like follow alert. Okay, or if you have some like method, try to reload the page or assign the new URL, so we can redirect it, so we can navigate to the new one. So all this, and also we can use the history method, like go backward and forward, or go back one step, so like passing the number, okay, -1, so we go back to it. So either way is okay. So you can implement a button. Okay, you can have a button setting a history and then back, so you can click the button and go back. So compare with the website, can I use the browser go back button? Yes. Okay, but depends on your implementation. Okay, so you may use this one to interact with the history. Okay, and also if you need to like open a new Windows, then you can create a constant new window using new window open as the URL and underscore blank. Okay, so this one is to create a new page. Okay, so and then after you can close the new page or keep it. Okay, so whatever you like. And also this will be like maybe come with the pop-up. So if you want to create a pop-up like Windows open, you will have a pop-up HTML. You have to create this HTML, and then you can give it as a like what's the size, let's say it's a square pop-up, and then you can write a message, let's say pop-up, you can say write a document, write, and then giving a header, welcome to the pub, like this. Okay, or of course you can maybe a pop-up form or message, whatever, so it depends on your purpose. Okay, and also we can access the local storage, if you know. So for the local storage, maybe you want to store the data without expiration. Okay, so we can use the set item, so you can pass the username and then the value like this. So if you want to get the item, you can use the local storage, get item, and pass the key. So the key is the username right here. So once you log it, so you can output, okay, what's the username? So it's how can we access it? So apart from the local storage, so we have an called the session storage, so it can save the data for the duration of the page session. So it will lose once we close the page. Okay, maybe sometime if you want to set the theme, okay. So with the dark color, and then get item, get the theme. Okay, so once you leave the page, close it, then we cannot access it anymore. So here's the difference between local storage and session storage. And we already have lots of example you see, and let's say for the input, so you can change the input type, let's say for the text radio, so it's the only choose one, and or checkbox. Checkbox you can actually multiple, or you can have a slide or text area for multi-lines. Okay, all this. And also we can update the value or get the value using the get element by ID. So you can like get the voice. Sometimes for the radio, if you want to know like the user choose which option, okay, or sometimes if you want to know, then you can get the element by ID and using dot notation, and then get the value. So it's also can do it. Okay, sometimes if you need to save it, let's say you have a form that the user to input, they can choose like let's say male or female, or choose maybe have a checkbox. Okay, what did they choose? okay, then you can use the dot notation. And here's giving an example if for the form validation, if you pass it, okay, input and it's required, okay, right here. And once you using the curious letter, okay, if you remember, we using the curious letter and then getting a form, okay, so we already have a form content, the data, and we get it on submit. Okay, here's the function. Okay, we try to change it and we try to get the input. Okay, we using the curious letter and pass the input. What's the type? It's the text, right? So pass it, and we try to the value trim them. So we remove some empty space. Okay, so if the user like didn't input anything after we trim it, so it's like it's just like empty string. Okay, so it will ask like, okay, given alert, please fill out the field. Okay, and then we are not doing anything, submit it. So we can use the event prevent default. Okay, or if you want to detect the length, so you can check what's the length of this string. Okay, so you can based on this to validate the form. Or if you remember, sometimes under the form is a message, right? So a red in color. So you can put like under the form, like under it, so you can have you can combine with the example I gave you. So right here, so you can put a def right here and then with the ID. So if you detect, then you can come a message. Okay, the length is not long enough or like giving a certain pattern. So you can do it in this way. And for the access the object, so far we already go through it. So just like recapturing is a key value pair. So it's the object. So when we create the object right here, so we have a curly bracket. So here giving name, age, and then giving a function. Okay, of course, like we have the arrow functions. So just refer to the previous example. And you can also work with the like object with the arrays. Okay, save it. So we have the one is the right here, and then you can use it. Let's say we have an array right here. You can use the square bracket and then pass the index. Okay, so we can access the content in this method. And we have the object destructuring. So including like let's say giving a constant, and then we can name and get age, right? So for the equals to certain person. So once you log it, so we're able to get the name. So that means the person right here. So we have a match name and age, right? Have a function. So when we pass it, we have a called destructuring, so we can match it directly. So sometimes if you want to get a value, so we can use this method. Okay, if you want to use the spread operator, if you want to add something new, so right here, three pivot right here, three dot, and then pattern version, and then adding a comma, and then we can add a new variable right here, country. Okay, so we can create a new person, so it will add to it. So for quickly, there's an extra information recap, okay, for you to for your project. So you're feel free to add all these things. It's just extra information, and wish you able to enjoy it. And the next one we have slightly more like details. I give you I will upload the sample code. So you can use it to it will go into like manipulate like the DOMs, the BOM object. So like instead of only giving like syntax, I would like to give you a source code. So I just like go through all the steps. Like if you forgot, this one is the old ones using npx to create project, but of course I remember the new way to create. So you can choose either way, and also you need to install all the dependents. Okay, so when you look at the import, and you can try to import all this that we add job zone, drag and drop, image upload, all this. Okay, and then in the app you will see the file input to upload it, and also we will try to adjust the DOM properties as file. So you will I will upload this one and also try to modify the app.js file. So we try to use the state variable. So in word is the image source, and then how we save the image size, what's the style, and then we allow the Windows scope, so we can like store the current scope position of it. And how can we like handle all those like components including the image upload. Okay, so we try to maybe read the upload file using file reader and set the image source, and we can controlling the like the size and style, include using the handle image size change. So we modify the size of the image dynamically. Also, we can change the CS like the scale or transform and opacity. So all these, and also we can like using the control the windows, scroll control, or re-rendering all this content. And finally, you can like touch on the app.csv file to change some styles, make it looks better. After you can just start the project. So for further like enhancement, you feel free to change the user interface like at the library. Okay, so the job sounds like instead choosing the URL, so you can let the user to drop it. Okay, so you can set, so it can allow the user to like upload the image in real time on the VS. Okay, and also we have other navigation tree showing all the content right here. So just like recap all the content, how can we access like to the class name? So or the curious data. So we just like recap everything. Okay, so if you're interested, you can look at this part. Okay, and just like some repeated content, so it gets you focused. So I just adding right here, and you can refer to the example just like as a bonus. So I will upload all these source files so you can look at it, and that's it for all these our web programming and interface. Maybe for some student, if you have difficulty to like combine everything, including the React, and then how can we sending requests to the API server and let's say the data to MongoDB within this 1 or 2 weeks, like you feel free to send me an email. We can set up that appointment so I can help you to solve the your some issues or problem. Okay, and if you're working by yourself, if you're feeling okay, it's too much workload, then try to like working as a group. You are it's not compulsory, but you're welcome to form a group. Like then you can share your workload. Okay, if you know, then you can complete everything by yourself. So it's totally fine. Okay, so if you have any question, feel free to contact me. Thank you.